Hey guys, we're back for another video, and today I'm talking about Hytale again, and this is the third and final part to my discussions with Warlord, one of my subscribers, about the security of Hytale and hacking and things like that. So in part one, we talked about VPNs and the possibility with free-to-play as an assumption that players will just be able to get 100 accounts and hack on them over and over again after getting banned. We talk about how we could potentially prevent that using authentication and potentially blocking VPNs, but then we also talk about the benefits of VPNs. And in part two, we talk more about some of the dangers involved in syncing a program or syncing a mod between a server and client, because what would happen if somebody were to make a Bitcoin miner as a mod and then it got sent across all the computers to the people that are logged into the server? Not good thing. So we talk about how Hytale could potentially combat malicious programmers putting things like that on servers. And in this third part, we talk about some more hacks that could happen on day one, week one, month one, some of the things that we might be expecting from cheaters in either competitive environments or just using these little tools to assist their single player experience. And it's a lot of interesting stuff. I actually haven't heard of a lot of these hacks. Apparently, they're very popular on servers like 2B2T, an Anarchy server that Warlord frequents. And I'm thinking about potentially trying out. Of course, with no hacks, I don't want to risk losing my Hypixel YouTube rank. I'm not going to promote hacks in any way. The whole point of this three-part series is to combat hacking. So, yeah. Anyway, enjoy.
And that brings up another interesting point. I'm kind of curious to see how the server side will connect with like external things like web pages or
Databases
in general, things like how they're going to handle payments and things like that. Like, the general Minecraft meta is you go with Bycraft, and
yeah.
they have their plugins and all that. It's handled. And I'm just kind of curious to see how they handle that, if they're going to roll that in with the actual Hytale servers.
Yeah, I had a little idea that was from my live stream chat. You've probably heard it twice by now. I think it'd be smart if, for at least servers, that Hytale have a similar system to Twitch bits, where you can buy you could buy like $1 worth of bits for $1.40 from, like, say, the official Hytale website. They'll be added to your account, and then you could spend those bits on servers. So then everything is self-contained. There's no Bycraft involved. There's no PayPal. There's, the only percent taken out is, taken out by Hytale themselves. And I think it'd be a lot easier to manage promotions. I think it'd be very smart if they did something like that. That way you don't have to, interface with a whole bunch of third parties.
I really think they need to do that. Even if they don't use that exact system, which I think is not a bad system.
Yeah.
Something like that where they monolithically take care of the transactions, because that's another thing you need to be secure about is your transactions, because people have charged back and this, that, and the other, and PayPal's, and it can be a nightmare.
It becomes a nightmare for everybody that, anything that gets popular, streamers included. I've dealt with it, a few problems like that.
Yeah.
It happens to anybody, and I can imagine Hytale will be one of the biggest sufferers of that, simply because of its size.
Yeah.
So it's going to be tough. I know that, but I do think that is the best way to do it, though, because having to deal with a PayPal appeal system for every canceled purchase just isn't practical, I don't think.
It doesn't
Not
scale
on a business level, no. It really isn't. So I don't know. That's going to be a big challenge for them. I think that's a big part of the equation on what their monetization policy is going to be, is how they're going to deal with the people that, scam the system. And they try to, like, get a charge back because, my son bought $20 worth of in-game currency without my knowing. I want my money back. And it's like, well, whose fault is it then? Like, I mean,
Yeah,
in my opinion, in that case, I think it's the parents' fault.
usually is.
I mean, they shouldn't have access to that credit card. But then again, I can totally see myself being in that position where, say, if I was a parent and I left my wallet on a table and some kid, like, just takes it and spends it. So it's a toughie.
It really is. And then legitimate fraud or abuse of, stolen credit cards, things like that. It's hard.
And that brings up another security problem. If there is such a thing as a bits system, there will definitely be third-party softwares released, even if they don't work. It'll be just like the Xbox Live code generators from back in the day. Oh, I used to freaking mess with those all the time. I did find one that worked back in like 2010.
Really?
I did. I found one
wow.
that worked, and there were of course 50 that didn't. And I mean, I was reinstalling Windows every other day during that time. But but I did find the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
Wow.
Xbox Live codes. But
That's impressive. I thought universally they were all just not actually a thing. Nice.
Looking back, that's the way I think it really is, but I guess there was one instance. By the way, to those of you that think that, you should try that, don't. That was back in 2010. There were some benevolent is a really strong word considering it's still stolen stuff. People out there that actually made working stuff, but now everybody just wants your information, your money. None of it's real. Anyway, I mean, it's going to be one of those things that slips into YouTube ads. It's going to be one of those, click here to get 100 free Hytale bucks.
Yeah. What is it? I think Fortnite has a whole bunch of these going on. And a whole bunch of if you do a YouTube search of an obscure topic, you're going to find like these at the bottom of the list, no view, but have been like what's
promoted everywhere.
Yeah, like every single thing can be tagged on it, and just being like, get free Robux or whatever the game currency that there might be trying to get.
And so I mean that's an inevitability, but what's even more scary is if somebody does find some backdoor and they're able to add bits to their account through illegitimate means, that could break the economy of the entire game. So I mean, I don't think they're gonna let something like that happen. I mean, that's probably the first thing they're gonna try to look into if they do implement a system like this.
Yeah.
But it is something worth mentioning because, after all, this is the security talk. I'm gonna call it. I think.
Yeah.
I think for fun we could figure out, or we could try to guess what specific hacks will be released in competitive environments. It'll probably be the standard things like what's already in Minecraft, with reach and knockback and stuff.
That might be interesting to figure out how it would translate over.
Yeah.
Because reach is a weird one that I think only works in Minecraft because Java.
Yeah. I really hope that the freaking way they process reach is different in Hytale, because my god, it is one of the most frustrating things when you're fighting some laggy player and they basically have discount reach and aura, because they can hit you from anywhere, because on their client you haven't moved yet, and it's the most frustrating thing.
Yeah.
Is so
the kill auras, the aim bots.
Oh yeah.
There's actually some really fantastic work done for Minecraft bots. When I was doing that whole world download of 2B2T thing, where a bunch of people were downloading Spawn, somebody made a really amazing bot that would just fly in, boxes getting ever bigger.
In a perfect shape, yeah.
Yeah, in a perfect shape, and also verify. Yeah, but it also had in the back end, it verified that the chunk had loaded and was saved.
So if the server had 2 TPS, it would go much slower than...
Yeah, it would slow down and it would start rastering almost. It would be oh, okay, I need to go over here, get that one. Okay, got that. Start moving a little bit more in the regular pattern. Be oh, missed that one. Stops, moves over, lets that chunk load.
Yeah.
It was really cool. Also, one of the ones that I think people underestimate that's on one of the free clients, which I think is a pretty decent one of the free clients, is TriggerBot. It's it's a closet hacker's favorite tool because it doesn't look illegitimate. What it does is instead of the head snap and all that of your normal kill auras,
Yeah.
when you mouse over a target, it'll automatically, once it has a good knows it can hit it, it'll hit.
Ooh, that's nasty because then.
Yeah, that
Oh.
bypasses all kinds of anti cheats pretty effectively.
Yeah. Oh no.
Yeah.
That's a pretty serious problem right there.
Also, that's a variant that works with arrows, the aimbot.
That is. That's. I think another clever one is Misplace, how people basically have used it to make it, you know, impossible to ban for reach because now anybody can fake reach by doing opposite misplace, where like on their client they're making it look like someone's farther away than they actually are. So now it like not even used for benefits in game, it's actually being used as like a mind game tool for people that are, going over ban appeals on Hypixel.
Yeah,
Like it's ridiculous.
I would qualify that under network manipulation because sometimes it's nice to have a high ping.
Yeah. I can freaking see why. I can see why it's nice to have a high ping.
Let's see.
Your lag switches and all that. I know in the Call
Yeah,
of Duty days that was a freaking amazing thing because you'd basically be able to shoot people like around corners and stuff because on your end they would still be there, and then on server side they won't be, but then it has to correct for lag because
yep.
you shot the guy. So it's like, ooh. That's one of the biggest things in Call of Duty is that everyone complains, I was behind the wall. And people are like, no, you're just like, maybe your elbow is sticking out. Like, no, you were actually behind the wall. It's just that the server hasn't caught up with your movements in the client yet.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing really made me sad because it's like, gaming as I know it is inherently flawed and there's nothing that could really be done about it. Like,
Yeah, which is blank is I think what it's generally referred to. There's a couple variations on it where you're telling the server that you're standing still and you will appear to be in that spot, but client
yeah.
side you move, and then you get to where you want to move, and within reason, it's not you can't go too ridiculously far with this. And then you update to the server where your new location is. So you literally go from where you were appearing to stand to where you are now in like one frame.
Yeah. And
And
there was
people
also
use that a
the
lot in certain types of PvP.
there's also free cam I've seen used on Subiacraft actually a few times where someone was floating and crouching at the same time and their head was spinning and it looked really glitchy and laggy, and then they would just pop back in, and then I
Yeah.
realized later that on their screen they were able to like be several hundred blocks away and they're looking at things like through walls and stuff, and
Oh yeah, it's like
it's like the Doctor Strange scene from the Avengers.
yeah,
It's exactly like that.
it's like a pseudo GM3, like spectator mode.
Yeah.
As long as you load those chunks, you can go check and inspect them.
Yeah, I feel like that would be a very popular tool in Hytale if people are able to inject mods into the client for single player, especially if it's like, oh, is it worth going in that dungeon? Let me look quick. And then they just look at the end loot chest and they're like basically either teleport there using blink or they just look using the free cam type of thing. So I mean,
There are some limitations with both of those. You couldn't just blink down into a closed cave.
oh okay,
We're not going to go into the crazy things because there is phase hacks, which allows you to phase through things. But
I've heard of some that on Hypixel are popular for getting through glass panes and iron bars. I think
yeah, you
F
can
Bar
switch.
was talking to Crypt Keeper exclusively about that. I remember during the fake Simon thing.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing. There are a lot of different types of phase hacks where you're able to phase through walls and just kind of manipulate how your player model collides with other things.
Yeah.
Also, blink is usually you can only get away with like 8 block radius,
Oh,
because
okay.
nowadays servers, a lot of patches has been put onto it, and if they're not using an anti-cheat, even the vanilla game
Oh, is that what
is
the flying
a
too
lot
fast
better.
thing is?
Yeah, a lot of the flying is not enabled on this server. Now, granted, that you can bypass it, but there are some fixes to some of the more blatant ones that have happened over time.
Yeah.
That's one of them. See, like, yeah, free cam is actually one of my most commonly used hacks on a 2B.
Yeah.
That one, and
I could see why it'd be very useful.
okay, now we're going to get into the hard to detect, virtually impossible to detect, to be perfectly honest, graphical visual hacks like
X-ray.
X-ray is one of them, yes, but in competitive PvP type modes, tracers and how things layer can be very powerful.
Yeah, we
Like,
mentioned this before. How if anyone's ever noticed, if you're watching Bed Wars gameplay, for example, and you have the lightning kill effect, any water is drawn in front of the lightning, I think, or is it the other way around? Oh no, when there's lightning, anything that's in the water is drawn first
yeah,
before. Yeah, so like there are layers to things the way they're graphically drawn, so you can, for example, probably use that to see through certain blocks. I would imagine. I mean,
yeah.
I'm not the experienced one here, so I'll let you take the
Well,
reins on that one.
a tracer is drawn on top of the all the other. It's on top, and it's part of the GUI basically, and it draws a line straight to the nearest player or item. I have one of my favorite clients I use on 2B. I'm able to actually set tracers to pretty much any block value or anything. Like if I'm looking for a pink terracotta
Yeah.
in a massive mess of ruins, I can have it draw a tracer right to it, a straight line from my cursor to that item or person or entity.
So here's a crazy question. Could you use that to target specific players from the tab list?
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you were determined enough, you could find someone that's online, draw a tracer to them, and then like hunt them down and kill them from like
They
thousands
have
of
to
blocks
be
away.
they have to be rendered
Okay.
on
Okay,
your
that makes
side.
okay. That makes more sense.
Yeah. Now there used to be an exploit called the Thunder hack. You might be moderately familiar with how lightning works in Minecraft, but everybody on the server would hear it, right?
Yeah.
Apparently, I don't know the magic sauce on this, but apparently you would be able to determine the direction in which that lightning came from. So if those chunks are loaded, you walk in that direction, you'll eventually find where somebody was.
Yeah, because lightning only strikes where the chunks are loaded. So that
Exactly.
means someone had to be there, or there's a chunk loader.
And chunk loaders really aren't effective on a lot of anarchy servers. You can kind of get them to work, but it requires spawn chunks generally, and
And those are
yeah,
kind of unusable in 2B from what I hear.
only a little bit.
For anything productive, at least, farm wise. I
Yeah,
mean, you'd
at this
probably get
moment, it's a
wrecked.
gigantic smoking hole with a water cube in the center and like blown up cobblestone lava cast things everywhere for like 500 block radius. It's like nothing but bedrock all the way down.
Oh my god.
Um, but then you also have things like additional toolbars. Like, you know how, what is that? It's better, what is it
Better
called? Better name
utilities.
tags. Better name tags. That's what it's called. It's in
Okay.
a lot of hack clients, and it allows you to see things like the enchanted level or the armor enchants,
Oh, I get you. Yeah.
exact health, held item, offhand item. Really, a surprisingly large amount of information can be determined and displayed on the screen. Like,
It's like that Fallout New Vegas perk where it's like medical expert or something like that, where it like
yeah,
it shows you everything. about a like it shows your damage tolerance, it shows your health, it shows your level, skills, things like
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
And
except
that kind of
it's
thing.
a hack.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a blatant hack, but these kind of like client side, I would call them more utilities than anything. You can't
Yeah,
really, no
unless there's
anti-cheat can pick
footage
it
of it,
up.
you can't. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, you can suspect like True Sight, which allows you to see invisible players and entities.
yeah,
That's why the Super Vanish plugin is set up the way it is, so it doesn't send any packets to the
yeah.
player. Because if anything is sent, you can find that on a hack.
And that's the reason why, for example, in a game like Bed Wars, if you die and you're spectating, no packets are sent, and that allows you to basically just be an observer without, GM3, because
Yeah,
like someone could place a block right on top of you and it won't detect that because you're not being sent any, or you're not sending any packets.
yeah.
Apparently, well, not any packets, but any packets to do with the
To
world
the
at
other,
least.
yeah, to the other clients from the server.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a
And
lot that I think Hypixel needs to think about with their security. I mean, they've probably already thought of a lot of these things, but I think it's good to shed some light on like the possibilities, because I know, I mean, to us, a lot of this probably sounds obvious, but to some people out there, like they don't even know what like a server really is. Like there are people out there that literally think the cloud is like a bunch of information floating around in the sky. So like, I think our talk here will definitely enlighten some people, and yeah, I think it should give people a hint as to what they should expect when booting up the game, and figure out possibly, hopefully, some staff will be able to address all of this, because at the end of the day, we want Hytale to be a secure and fun place with no possibilities of doxing or cheating or installing anything unwanted on the client, things like that.
and fair gameplay for PvP. Like
Oh yeah,
I like playing around and messing around with my modded clients that I like to call hacks. But I never use them in like PvP situations other than on 2B, and definitely not in any competitive manner.
oh yeah,
Occasionally on a couple of servers I ran, I would use some of the utilities, I like to refer to them as an admin, in order to find something or to even catch other cheaters. Like it's really easy to see when somebody's X-raying when you also have X-ray.
yeah,
Like it's a lot easier. Like, oh, let's see, they just made a beeline from that cluster to that cluster and they're heading right in that. Yeah, they're X-raying as well. Nice.
yep,
Like, and also, tracers, and there are functional tools there. And that actually might be an interesting thing they should look into doing, is an operator having certain access to these kinds of tools and utilities native in the game might be very handy.
yeah. As long as they don't accidentally create some backdoor for anybody to be able to like use them.
Yeah, obviously, like the old school force op hack, that was a fun one. Yay.
So I've seen videos about that where people were able to get op on. This is back in the beta days, like back before I even knew what hacks were. I heard
Yeah.
about situations where people are able to get op on any server they want and wreck the place, and that's why I always backed up Subio, because I was scared it could happen to me, and it probably can. Probably
I think
can.
the current versions are pretty good. Also, oh, there is a plugin which makes it so that somebody can't be opt on the server unless there's a password.
Okay.
I don't know if it's necessary or not, but it's something that I've always run on a lot of servers.
Yeah, I mean, we don't throw op around lightly on my server. It's usually all PEX based. Like,
Yeah,
there's only a few users that are opt, like, at all.
I think I'm one of them.
Oh yeah, that was for the build, I think. That's funny.
Uh,
Well, only. Oh, actually, that's because you're dev.
yeah, I'm
Server.
dev. Yeah,
Yeah, this is a
I
very
have
yeah.
full FTP access and all that. Yeah, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
so even if you didn't have op, you could have op if you wanted. So
Yeah,
that's just
okay.
part
I
of being
get it,
dev.
but yeah,
Yeah. Well, anyway, I think we've covered just about everything that I could think of at least. I mean, there's definitely going to be some stuff we can't even imagine that starts to happen with the game.
oh, I'm definitely going to be interested to see what happens in the comments because you might get some interesting actual
Yeah.
information out of it.
Well, hopefully I can find a way to cobble this together into. I'm gonna guess it's a three-parter. I'm gonna try to organize the content, but we'll see what happens, and hopefully we can get reassured by some. Hey, if there's any staff watching this, it'd be really neat to have you in my comment section. But yeah, it'd be really good to have some reassurance that some of these things won't be possible, especially the installing software on other people's machines thing, because I'm very curious to see how the screening process for mods will work.
Definitely don't want somebody slipping in a crypto miner.
Yeah, no, that would not be good.
It'd be hilarious, and I'm sure it'd be very profitable. So that's why people are going to try it, but
Yep,
it would not be
yep.
good.
So that was it for the video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. And again, if you missed parts 1 and 2, they are going to be in the cards in the top left and top right corners. Or not cards, end screens. And yeah, it's been a very fun talk with Warlord, talking about the networking and the potential for combating hacks. And I would love to hear back from the Hypixel devs on their solutions to these kind of problems. And I'm, of course, hyped for the game. I can't wait to see what I can do as a developer. Of course, for good. I'm not going to be mining any Bitcoin from my player base, that's for sure. Well, anyway, that is it. So, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.